Ever wondered how our diets and animal agriculture affect certain things on this planet? It's certainly an interesting topic, so I've gathered the best scientific sources of information I could to better comprehend it and share with you all. A vegan diet is probably the single biggest way to reduce your impact on planet Earth. Not just greenhouse gases, but global acidification, eutrophication, land use and water use. Quoted from Joseph Porre, who led the research based on almost 40,000 farms in 119 countries and covering 40 food products that represent 90% of all that is eaten. Studies show the biggest area of death, mutilation, environmental impact and food waste is within animal agriculture, and it's all unnecessary. They also show veganism is the most ethical, logical, environmentally friendly, overall healthful way to go. 80 billion land animals and up to 2.7 trillion marine animals unnecessarily die for humans' consumption globally every year. There's only 7.5 to 8 billion humans on Earth. 50% of the Earth's habitable land is used for agriculture. 83% of that is used for animal agriculture. It only returns us with 18% of our calories. You feed 100 calories into a cow, you only get 1.9 calories of meat/beef out the other side, and it's similar with all animals. Extremely inefficient, massive loss with this type of food, and that comes with a huge environmental footprint that is just inherent. Less than half, only 48% of the world's cereals, that is wheat, rye, rice, oats, barley, quinoa, corn, etc., are eaten by humans. 41% of all cereal crops are grown for animal feed and 11% for biofuels. It's not just cereals that are diverted towards animal feed and biofuels. For example, 96% of all the soy produced in the Amazon forest is for livestock, and a small proportion for cooking oils. So the culprit of the Amazon's deforestation is animal agriculture. So it's not tofu, soy milk, tempeh, vegan meat alternatives or other vegan foods. Just 6% of global soy is used directly for human food products. Furthermore, 95 to 100% of GMO soy is fed to livestock, and 85% of global soy crops are fed to livestock. Eating animals is the largest contributing factor in deforestation, water pollution, ocean dead zones, habitat loss and species extinction. In terms of biodiversity, untouched land is by far the best way to go. If you are grazing cattle on very degraded land, the best use of that land is to revert it back and restore it, and science shows you are not going to restore that land through attempts of grazing it. The largest cause of agricultural methane is from red meat and dairy. One of the largest human-caused methane globally is from them. Methane is one of the biggest contributors of climate change. The more grass cows eat, thus is the more fibre they consume, thus, and studies show, as much as 4 times more methane they produce. Also, in the first 20 years after release, methane is around 80 times more powerful than CO2 at trapping heat in the Earth's atmosphere. The amount of water used to produce 1 pound of beef is equivalent to 7 years of drinking water for the average person. Animal agriculture already clearly kills more animals and insects than plant agriculture, looking at science facts. The poor countries where people are starving sell their crops to the West, who then feeds them to their livestock. Each day, 25,000 people die from hunger, while billions of animals are being fattened so we could have a steak, a fillet, etc. Nobody will want this system to continue, and that is the kind of food system we support when we buy those animal products. Those hunger deaths include more than 10,000 children. Some 854 million people worldwide are estimated to be undernourished, and high food prices may drive another 100 million into poverty and hunger. Animal products are mostly consumed in unhealthy ways. That is, processed meats are a group 1 carcinogen, red meats are a group 2A carcinogen, excessive consumption, the way in which the animals are overall brought up, fed and treated, etc. Furthermore, without being mindful, animal products can contribute to negative health outcomes and premature death, including the biggest cause of death for humans. And this can be prevented by replacing animal products with healthier plant foods. 10,000 years ago, 99% of the biomass, i.e. zoomass, was wild animals. Today, humans and the animals that we raise as food make up 98% of the zoomass. A 5-year study shows if humans shifted to a plant-based diet, we could free up the amount of agricultural land we need by 75%. That study was based on a plant-based diet. Imagine the benefits of a vegan diet. Also, a good tip to reduce the carbon footprint of your food is focus on what you eat, not whether your food is local. A study which looked at the footprint of diets across the EU, food transport was responsible for only 6% of emissions, whilst dairy, meat and eggs accounted for 83%. If every country in the world adopted the US's meat-based diet, then we would need 138% of the world's current habitable land area. In other words, we would be incapable of feeding ourselves. But it doesn't stop there. Check out Canada at 130%, Brazil at 124%, Argentina at 162%, Australia at 158%. New Zealand at a mind-twisting, incomprehensible 191%, and so on. Holistic grazing isn't the solution. So the FCRN is a massive report looking at every single peer-reviewed study that looks at rotational grazing. And all of them studies show that even when you use rotational grazing, it is still a net emitting practice. So when it's marketed as a climate solution, that's a bit greenwashing. Because although it's a step in the right direction, it is still a 40 to 60% net emitting practice. So it's not a climate solution, and as we looked at earlier, we also have nowhere near enough land to produce meat in that way to feed the whole world based on current meat consumption. So new advanced technologies like 3D printing food and cellular agriculture is a huge ethical and sustainable step for all the meat and animal product eaters out there that aren't willing to alter their eating behaviours or habits for moral, healthful and environmental reasons. Even if animal agriculture had perfect regulations, this is not where we want to go with food. We want to shift away from these inefficient, high land use, high methane emitting sources of food. So another reason it's a terrible source of feeding the world, and why we should be eliminating animal products from our diets. Another reason is they disproportionately use the most land, displaces native ecosystems we need, and also prevents the drawdown in carbon that we need to rebalance the atmosphere to something that's more livable in the future. And the best source of doing that is forest and native protected ecosystems and rewilding. So these environmentally damaging foods are preventing that, and we will continue to do so as long as we continue this type of food. We also have to keep in mind experts now believe we are in the midst of a sixth mass extinction. So acting sooner rather than later is a very wise decision. This planet is not meant to be a massive animal agricultural farm. It doesn't have to be this way, and this way of living cannot be sustained. Thanks for listening. I hope you learned a lot of things there, and you can take all them away and apply them to your eating. Have a good one.